No, I mean my balls.
Suck my balls.
Suck my balls.
Suck my balls.
SMB.
Suck my
A
balls.
South Park review. We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition. I'm your host, Nahina. Can't be beat. I'm your guy who's high with the air is dry. Yeah, boy. M to the S to the G. You follow us as a podcast. I'm going to linktr.ee/SouthParkPod. Each and every time I load up these rhymes, I try to have someone here to convince me that I'm still sane within my own mind. Luckily for me this week, I'm not alone. As last week I reviewed Inception, a classic South Park episode. But this week...
You're a piece of shit. Love you.
This week...
Fuck you. Not bad.
The Mac Daddy, the OG, the S to the C to the double O-P. Scooches. He's back. Shout out to our boy, the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 South Park Trivia Champion, affectionately known as a Trivia God, Joe Vernola. And the man who likes to read the Bane in the digital marketing game. The guy who likes to solicit those picks to get your clicks. He's a marketer, a director. He's a guy named Dane Becker. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Dane Becker. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's jump into this episode, Scoopster. This is the 3-part epidemic. The 3-part trilogy of South Park. One might say, because what, Imagination Land, that was only a 2-part episode, right? Or was that a 3-parter? That was a 3-parter, wasn't it?
Thought it was a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. You're right. It's a trilogy. This is like their third movie now, technically, if you think about it. 3-parter? Could be like a movie. This time it's Coon Hindsight. Now, we have to be very clear. When we say Coon Hindsight, we're talking about the raccoon. It's an abbreviation for Cartman's character. We are not using it anyway in a defamatory way toward any race or religion. We're talking about the animal raccoon. And that is Cartman's character as a superhero. Or a villain. However you want to look
How
at
do
it.
we know it's actually Cartman? Do we ever actually find out?
Okay, could be Bruce Valanche.
Be careful up there, Bruce Valanche.
Coon to Hindsight is the 11th episode of season 14 and the 206th overall episode of South Park, as it first originally aired on October the 27th, 2010. Here's what this episode, I know, makes you feel old, doesn't it?
Yes.
As we are now into 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first, I guess this would technically be, no, this will be the first episode we record. I mean, Inception will be the first one, the first drop of 2024. But this is our first recording together in 2024. We started this podcast, me and you, December of 2019. December 25th. Still going strong. 3 years and 2 weeks. Boom. Or, yeah, no, 4 years. It'd be 4 years and 2 weeks. My math is off. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Nahina. Can't be. I'm the guy who's high with the air is dry. I'm just kidding. Or I did that part. I'm just saying I'm the guy who's high with the air is dry. So this is Coon and Friends, as I set to help out the victims of BP's latest catastrophic drilling accident in the Gulf. Much to the Coon's dismay, and another superhero gets there first, is how this episode kind of kicks off. So what they decided to do, for obviously those who have been listening, maybe they're just getting on because you like this episode. Well, guess what? Right here, 2010, this is the start of the Marvel superhero craze, right? And that's what they're starting to parody here. Of course, this episode starts out with the Coon and Friends leading an entire team, I mean, Cartman and the Coon, leading an entire team of crime fighters, which includes Mysterion, Toolshed, Iron Maiden. That's Timmy's name. That's a sick name. Tupperware, Mosquito, Mintberry Crunch, and the Human Kite. Although Cartman is intent on taking all the glory, seen as the group is called Coon and Friends, something that the group automatically questions at first. A fire breaks out at a local apartment building, and Cartman gets his mom to drive them over there. But before they can take any action, once they arrive, Captain Hindight is there, a renowned hero, as he arrives at the burning hotel to a standing ovation. Although all he does though is just point out the flaws of how the building was constructed and positioned. People thereafter all relieved, and they promptly abandoned the burning building, and 14 people subsequently die.
Yeah.
He's a stupid superhero.
The worst.
Captain Hindsight. They're making fun of internet people or people who are like, well, you should have done this. You should do that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's specifically like online trolls, but like definitely like those type of people exist in any type of form of fashion, business, entertainment, art,
Let me guess.
whatever.
You Googled it. Captain Hindsight.
Yeah, people who just like want to give their feedback on like, oh, if I was in that position, I would do it. Or you know how like people who have never played a sports in their life, if it was me, I would have thrown it this way because I played with Madden or something like that. So they think like they know. This is what this guy is. He's Captain Hindsight. So let's jump into our first clip here. We'll kind of give you a background on of our superhero friends.
Yes, Toolshed. Why do we have to be called Coon and Friends? What?
That-
We all fight crime together. How come we're just your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to be called the Extreme Avenger League.
Yeah!
Extreme Avenger
League! I told you, Tupperware, Extreme Avenger League doesn't work.
Why not?
Sounds
It's
pretty cool.
confusing. The Coon is a brand people already know.
Why can't it be Mosquito and Friends?
He's right. They do know that.
Nobody's
People
fucking heard of you, Mosquito!
Have so?
Yeah.
Look, guys, we need to find out what's causing the crime wave in this city. Mysterion, you and the humankind get on the computer and dig up what you can. Tupperware and Mosquito scan the news.
So they're talking, of course, we mentioned they're looking for the news. Well, the first thing they find is the fire. So the fire happens, and they're going to watch on Coonivision.
The apartment building, and firefighters are having no luck.
My God, this is what we've been waiting for. Coon and Friends, let's head out.
So he, of course, gets his mom to try and help him.
Yeah, Midbury Crunch, why don't you stay here and mind the base, okay?
That's right, Mint Crunch. Me can't. We don't know what Mint Crunch is yet.
Got to get downtown fast, Coon Friends.
Not Mickey.
Mom, you gotta drive us.
Kabaloo!
Oh, it's a little late, sweetie. Why don't you boys just keep playing downstairs?
Mom, you're the Coon's faithful butler. I want to go downtown now.
Well, all right. I guess I can get some groceries anyway.
Into the Coonmobile, everyone. Let's just hope we get there in time.
All right, are you little munchkins buckled up for safety?
Mom, don't talk to us like that. We're fucking superheroes.
Eric, what have we talked about with that language? One more time and I'm not taking you anywhere.
I'm sorry, Mom. Can we go, please? Unbelievable.
Okay, now they're at the fire scene. And of course, we're going to get the backstory on Captain Hindsight.
Whatever's happening, you need help from the Coon.
And Friends!
Keep those children back, Thompson.
Please, sir. You must let us...
Sweetie, let the nice firemen do their job.
Shut up, Mom. God!
Wait! Look! Up in the sky! It's him! My God, it's really him! He's come to help us! Captain Hindsight!
Captain Hindsight!
Who's Captain Hindsight?
Captain Hindsight!
Narrator.
The hero of the
Makes
modern age! Once known as Jack Brolin, a reporter for the national news, the hero was born when a freak accident gave him the amazing power of extraordinary hindsight. From toxic...
Okay, so that's his backstory, right? He gave him the story. As I pointed out to you, like, this dude can fly. That's his real freaking superpower, people, okay? The fact that he just rolls up here and he tells you what's wrong, like, that's just stupid. But, you know, that's what's supposed to be funny. So here's him explaining what's wrong.
built it with a more reinforced structure so a helicopter could have landed on it. Yes, of course. And then you see that building to the left?
Should have never been built.
They shouldn't have built that there.
Oh.
Because now you can't park any fire trucks where you really need to. Well, looks like my job here is done.
Job done.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Captain Hindsight.
Thank you, Captain Hindsight. Thank you.
And
All
then,
right,
of course,
everyone, I guess that's it. Let's pack it up.
they just pack it up and leave. And as I mentioned,
1, 2.
14 people died.
Right there. Right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. At the very least, apartments. And there's probably a couple people in each. Oh, there's a person right here. 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13. So it's probably an extra person in one of these. Maybe a baby. That's dark. That's at South Park. Yeah. 14 people died. 14 people died because though nobody helped.
Yep.
Nobody.
Hindsight.
So Cartman concludes in the aftermath that they will need to get Captain Hindsight to join them in order to regain what he believes to be their former glory. He fails, however, and is forced to turn to his old tricks of using Butters, who is currently held prisoner for his misdeeds as Professor Chaos, to frame him.
B-bet.
We got to get Butters naked is what we'll find out later. At the same time, while this is going on, a BP drilling vessel consisting of an entire British crew goes to drill a hole in the Gulf, only to accidentally cause another leak, prompting one of the crewmen to exclaim, "Oh, don't tell me we did it again." CEO of company Tony Howard immediately issues a "We're Sorry" campaign to try and rectify the situation, going as far as changing the company name from Beyond Petroleum to Dependable Petroleum. We don't just fuck the earth, we DP it. The problem, of course, soon escalates, though, when the now renamed DP accidentally drills through a portal to another dimension, causing the entire Gulf to be attacked by enormous alien creatures. Hayward, that being Tony Hayward, the CEO, determines that they will need to drill on the moon, thereby changing the gravitational pull on the Earth and quelling the swells of the ocean, which will allow them to place a cap on the dimensional vortex. Unfortunately, in the act of doing this, they inadvertently release the Lord and Savior of Cthulhu, thus creating a even more serious problem, and now darkness and despair for 3,000 years. All hail the supreme leader Cthulhu. So that is some your more recap there. Let's jump back into some more clips, and we'll go through what we just said so you can get an idea of how South Park is setting the stage for this three-parter here. So here's Coon and Friends there.
Stan, how did that thing get there, Randy?
I don't know.
Well, take it down. It's noisy.
I can't. I don't know what happened to all my tools.
And of course, his Jed.
Oh, my tool.
Stan.
All right, Tool Shed is here. We can start. Dude, who said you could put a big siren in my parents' house?
Yeah, I almost got in trouble for it.
The Coon must be able to signal his friends when a huge catastrophe breaks out.
So he explained to him, of course, that, look, we got to get Captain Hindsight to join us. And they're like, whatever, dude, there's more important things. This is what we talked about, the BP Phil.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, don't tell me we did it again.
We did it again. And then now, of course.
Coon and Friends alert. Our Coon Friends report to base. I'm so seriously. Emergency. Coon and Friends alert.
I'm so seriously, guys. Coon and Friends there. Kenny sneaks out the back door, him being Mysterion. So they all get there. They look at what's going on. They're like, we got to come up with something. And then Captain Hindsight, of course, shows up.
You see where that rig is drilling? Yes. It's in too deep of water. They shouldn't have drilled in that deep of water because now they can't get machines deep enough to fix the spill. Aha!
Aha!
Yes! Now, if it's a valve that ruptured, then what they should have done is installed a backup valve. And
Well, they did install a backup valve. Well, then they should install a backup to the backup valve. And then, like, as he's leaving, one of the guys is like, bless you, Captain Hindsight. Bless you.
others in need. God bless you, Captain Hindsight. God bless you.
God bless you. And then Cartman.
God damn it! We have.
So Cartman, as we mentioned, he's going to try and approach Captain Hindsight to join him.
And I've been asked to give you some really exciting news.
And then,
You have been pre-approved to become the newest member of Coon and Friends.
yes.
Of what?
I know the Coon personally, and I can tell you being a Coon friend is the very highest honor. As you can see in those papers, your first 3 months of dues have actually been waived. This must be amazingly exciting for you.
That's like such a
Captain
stealth tactic.
Captain Hindsight,
Must
please
be
come in.
amazingly
Go
exciting
ahead.
for you.
The oil keeps coming out. We've got other rigs now catching fire.
So he goes through different Captain Hindsight scenarios. We jump forward here, as I mentioned. Now the BP crisis continues.
Release this statement. Hello, I'm Tony Hayward, President and CEO of BP. Our accidental drilling spill again in the Gulf is a tragedy that should have never
Again,
happened.
because they're making fun of
To
the real
all
life
those
situation that
affected,
happened at the
I
time.
want to say we are
Us
deeply sorry.
Sorry.
We're sorry. We're sorry.
Sorry.
We're sorry.
Maybe. Skiing one.
Sorry.
Sorry. That skiing one has been used for memes tons of times too. So he does this throughout the episode. Every time they fuck up, he does a little "we're sorry." We're sorry. Here's Butters.
I've come up with a solution. Coon Vision on. All we need to do is get pictures of Captain Hindsight naked with Courtney Love. And we'll tell him if he doesn't join us, we'll put them on the internet. How do we get pictures of him naked with Courtney Love? Simple, Two Shed. Coon Slide 2.
Coon Slide 2.
Dress Professor Chaos up as Courtney Love. Take pictures of him naked with a homeless guy, then Photoshop Hindsight's face onto it.
Me? Oh, come on, fellas, don't make me be Courtney Love.
We gotta get to work fast, people. Coon and Friends, ho!
I'm so sorry, Butters.
Ah.
Oh no.
So Mosquito, Clyde brings up a good point here. Why don't we do a bake sale instead? And Cartman and them go back and forth. They argue. Eventually they take a vote and they decide, yes, we are going to do the bake sale. And then Cartman's, of course, unhappy because he's outranked, right? Like, But they all vote, let's do the bake sale because that's actually going to help. But as they're walking toward the store, Cartman decides, fuck that.
Since it has always been my guide.
Okay,
So I knew I must act. A coon must know when to defend itself.
I believe this song's eminent domain. It's like an old song, like the 30s, 40s, right? But anyway, we don't know. Let's just kicking the crap out of him there. He kicks the crap out of him, kicks him in the balls a couple times. And this part's the dark part. Then he just starts scratching him up there. You see Mintberry Crunch, he shows up. And because, of course, Cartman does not like Mintberry Crunch, Crunch gets one just for being there, too. Watch, ready? Here. So immediately following this, Cartman thinks everything's cool, but it's really not cool. They're pissed off at him now. Here's the alien creatures we talked about. They got released due to the fact that the BP once again drilled a hole.
The oil company stated that it knew a portal to another dimension was there, but didn't think drilling into it would prove problematic.
Yeah, whatever.
Now hundreds of creatures
I
from
think
another
pointing out
dimension
when
are
you watch
spilling
this,
out
this
into
guy
our
who just
reality
touches this.
and wreaking havoc.
Why would you touch that?
Hello, I'm Tony Haywood, CEO of DP. Tearing
this is
a
number
hole
2,
into
him
another
doing,
dimension is a tragedy
sorry.
that should have never happened. And as CEO,
Sorry, he goes through all that again. We don't need to show you that right now. Here's Captain Hindsight. He thinks he's gotten drunk now.
remember last week when I got really, really drunk? Yes,
Because
sir? Look at those photos on the desk.
Cartman dressed up Butters and as a hooker
Is that you and
a homeless guy
Courtney Love?
who just shittily
Of course it's Courtney
photoshopped
Love.
Captain
Why
Hindsight.
did you have? I don't remember. That's just the
Hey.
point. I get drunk. I don't remember things.
It's very good. Everything.
And the question everyone is asking is, where is Captain Hindsight?
Where are you, Captain Hindsight?
Well, now, Captain Hindight, really, there was your mistake.
That is great. So as we mentioned, DP, they launch a satellite, rocket to the moon, right? Because they're going to DP it. There you can see Wilsiak and Tom Cruise.
The DP Oil Company today
And
drilled into the moon and
they're gonna fuck
appears
up
to
in all
have
different
caused
ways.
even greater problems.
And unfortunately,
Oh, I have a feeling we better get into our costumes again, guys.
Tom, the DP Oil Company has had another drilling accident. This time, they
Cthulhu.
appear to have unleashed the dark and mighty Cthulhu.
Cthulhu.
The rise of Cthulhu from another dimension brings about 3,000 years of darkness, Tom, where we will all be driven to madness and made to serve as Cthulhu's cultist slaves.
Cthulhu?
The president of DP Oil
I don't
released
know.
this press statement.
Now this is the key. We're sorry.
As president of DP Oil, I want to say, we're
We're
sorry.
sorry.
I'm deeply sorry.
He's shaving. Naked.
Sorry.
With the rosy cheek.
With the rosy cheeks. All right. So a little bit left here in this episode. So meanwhile, after that fight that happens, right, there's some, basically some descendants here between the ranks of the Coon and Friends. Of course, Cartman focused too much on trying to resolve Captain Hindsight and explicitly states that he has no care for people suffering from the BP spill, which conflicts with the interests of the rest of the group. Mysterion insists on a vote. As we mentioned, Cartman were luckily forced to go with Mosquito's idea of setting up a fundraising event in order to help the victims of the BP crisis. Cartman then had a change of heart, delusional mind, claimed that something must be clearly wrong with the others, and he beat up Mosquito. So now, as a result, the group is going to revolt and unanimously votes the Coon and Friends, or the Coon out of Coon and Friends. Cartman threatens to tell his mom since they use his basement as a headquarters, but Mrs. Cartman has already been consulted as a result because Cartman is grounded for the use of bad language and beating up his friends.
Yeah.
Of course, now
Correct.
well, that's correct. Of course, now with Cartman no longer in control, the friends can now go to fight Cthulhu themselves. So we'll show a little bit of the last few of those clips as we get ready to wrap up this episode here.
He means we need to discuss things with you. Okay, what? I don't want to tell him. Tupperware, you tell him.
I don't want to tell him either.
I'll tell him. Coon, I'm sorry, but we're kicking him out of Coon and Friends.
How's that packet?
Kicking
Wanted
me
to do it.
out of Coon and Friends. We all voted and it was unanimous. You can't kick me out of Coon and Friends. I'm the fucking king!
Look, we just believe that you
I'd
have
be
your
like,
goals
yeah,
and
and
doing
we
things
voted
and they
to change
conflict
the
with what
name.
we want to accomplish.
But we get the headquarters and all the equipment. You don't keep anything. This is my basement, and I'll tell my mom on you guys. We've already discussed this with her. Mrs. Cartman,
Yes, Mysterion?
please escort the Coon out of our secret base.
Eric, I talked to you about beating up your friends, didn't I?
Mom, what the fuck? The fuck are you doing?
Eric, you do not beat up your friends, and I told you I've had it with your language. Your punishment is that your friends will just play superheroes without you. Go to your room.
You gotta be fucking kidding me!
Bitch.
Bitch. So finally now Cartman's stuck in his room while the boys are going to get ready to go take on Cthulhu. He begins to think his way through the situation. Rather than take responsibility for his misbehavior, Cartman again assumes that the problems and faults, of course, lie in his friends, claiming that the only reason they kicked him out of the club was they had somehow turned evil, vowing to save the day. He eventually then jumps out of his bedroom yelling, "Assholes!" Cartman.
Darkness has taken over our town.
Yo.
Coon friends have given in to evil.
Sure.
It's
We find
up
that out
to
later.
the
Don't
Coon
spoil
to
it.
stop
You
them.
just spoiled it.
Assholes!
Assholes! All right, well,
This is what, 14 years?
yeah, exactly. Sorry, no spoilers. You guys, obviously, this show is like this episode's 2010. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your full recap. We'll be right back on the other side with some more trivia, pop culture, and more. We'll be right back. Subscribe to Suck My Balls, a South Park review on Spotify, Apple's, iTunes, anywhere you want to download a podcast. Just type that in, subscribe to our feed, and you'll get the latest, greatest episode each and every week. You can also listen to us on YouTube and go back and watch some videos or any of our library. It's all there. Suck My Balls, South Park review. Welcome back now on the other side. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, provided by that Spreaker. If you use the Spreaker app, we get 10% more ad revenue, so we appreciate if you do that. If not, that's fine. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching right here on YouTube, like, share, follow on all of your favorite podcast outlets. Linktr.ee/SouthParkPod. Let's get into some trivia. Now, look, of course, I always tell you at the top of the show that I am not the 2022 Red Rocks Day 1 South Park Trivia Champion at the 25th anniversary. I am not that champion. I am not a trivia god, but I will do my best. At the time of this broadcast, the identity of Mysterion had been a mystery to viewers for over a year, and this episode took great pains to narrow down the possible candidates without giving the secret away completely. The 8 members of the Coon Friends were shown to be Cartman, Clyde, Bradley, Tolkien, Stan, Kyle, Kenny, and Timmy. Upon seeing this episode for the first time, it was possible, though, to determine the identity of the most of the kids identified by their distinctive features or characteristics. As we previously noted, the Coon being Cartman, Tupperware Tolkien, Iron Maiden Timmy, Toolshed, of course, being Stan, Mitberry Crunch being Bradley Biggle, and of course, this left Mosquito, the Human Kite, and Mysterion unrevealed, with Clyde, Kenny, and Kyle being the only possible light for Mysterion's identity, as we knew Kyle was the Human Kite. So we didn't know at the time. Back then, it was like, who is Mysterion? Who is Mysterion? But we
I
kind of
remember that with nobody.
Well, we kind of did know because they were like, well, I mean, Cartman technically says it, right? In the first Coon episode, the Coon Rise, when he says, I knew it was you the whole time. I said it, didn't I? So they kind of never gave it away there. We gave it away. Sorry. But yeah, they kind of gave it away. But in the context here, yeah, like, I guess people were still going for over a year. Who is Mysterion? This episode had the working title, The Coon 2, Rise of Captain Hindsight. Jambu and Tom Cruise, as we pointed out, were once again shown as they were dead on the moon when DP drilled it. This is the first time Bradley Biggle appears as part of the boys' extended gang. This is also the first episode Bradley has a major role, speaking more than one line. And finally, Clyde Frog can be seen wearing a Coon mask when the Coon is talking to Mitberry Crunch. Clyde Frog, of course, was murdered by Kyle in the episode Tonsil Trouble, so his reappearance was mysterious. Though he is only a toy, Cartman has a human-like bond with him, which should have made it more difficult for him to accept a replacement Clyde Frog. He, of course, will later be seen again and die prematurely in 1%. And that is your trivia. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this man is the S to the C, the double OP, who's going to read us up some pop culture.
The hole to the other dimension causing creatures to attack the world may be a reference to Stephen King's short story and film, The Mist.
Well, that was also turned into a game. I didn't know that was based on that.
Really, that's a game?
Yeah, a computer game back in the day, Mist. I think you could also get on the Sega Saturn too. Ported over there like a point-and-click adventure.
That's cool.
Maybe it was based on that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making shit up as far as this connection, but that was a real game. You can get it for cheap too.
We're going to have to find some of these. Near the end of the episode, H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu arrives on Earth, and what appears to be an Elder Thing and Migo, two other Lovecraft characters from another dimension, arrive on Earth and begin to attack humans. If there are alternate dimensions and all sorts of that stuff, dude, that'd be terrifying.
Dude.
The scene in which Cartman attacks Mosquito and Minberry Crunch is a parody of the scene from the 1971 Stanley Kubrick film A Clockwork Orange, where Alex attacks Dim and Georgie. The La Gaza Ladra overture plays in accordance.
That's pretty good. I don't know if I was going to be able to say that.
Minberry Crunch's costume is homage to the inhabitants of the planet Tron from Star Trek. That's cool. The Captain Hindsight character was described in the audio mini commentary as a parody of a film director, James Cameron, who offered many solutions to the oil spill after it took place. And actually attended meetings with BP to find solution to the crisis. Matt and Trey felt he was only expressing these opinions with benefit of hindsight and not actually
Relevant. That's funny. Like James Cameron, power of the sea. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's your trivia. That's your pop culture. No continuity references here other than like what we talked about during the episode and different, character backgrounds and stuff like that. But that's because they're making a 3-part episode here. So given our final thoughts here, I know that we've got 3 parts, but when you initially saw this episode the first time, or even when we just watched it, what do you think about it as a whole, as an episode?
It's hard to do this for a trilogy, It's kind of like, well, it's not going to make sense until the next episode, but it also won't make sense to the last episode. So it's just like, but as far as setting us up and making all of the suspense.
What do you think about? I think the big takeaway jokes here are right. We're sorry. That's probably what people take away from this episode.
Them smashing BP.
Yeah.
Around the time, wasn't there an oil spill?
Yeah. That's what they're parodying there.
And didn't we just get the game? Or
I don't think so. We haven't had Black Friday Bundle Roll yet. We haven't reviewed that yet.
Okay.
That's when the first Stick of Truth comes out. Because they're like, why don't we play with this? The Stick of Truth, now available. Maybe, or now available next year, maybe, whatever they said. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there was that. I agree with you, the story, the setup. I felt bad for Butters. He's just locked in a cage the whole time, this 3-part trilogy.
B-butts.
As we talked about before. What else in regards to this episode? Yeah, I mean, it was definitely the superhero parody stuff. There are definitely social commentary on superheroes getting kind of big as far as the box office at this time. So they were piggybacking off of that, having the boys do it because that would have been pop culture trend, right? Mm-hmm. So that was fun. And that will continue to get expounded upon even in further episodes and in further years when the kids continue to play superheroes. And they're trying to get a Netflix deal.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's part 1. There's not much more we can give you as far as our final thoughts, because as Scoop pointed out, it is a 3-part episode. So it doesn't make sense for us to expound and be like, I like this and all this and I like this, because then we're just kind of spoiling what happens in the next episode and in the 3rd episode. So ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching it right here on YouTube. Linktr.ee/SouthParkPod for all of our landing pages. And of course, you can check us out at South Park Pods with an S on all outlets, at South Park Pod as well, and at South Park Podcast on Instagram. Coming up next week, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mysterion Rises. It's part 2 of the 3-part trilogy that South Park built here. What happens on this particular episode now that the boys are heading off to try and fight Cthulhu, as well as Cartman is looking to stop Kenny? It all comes to, well, I guess it would be the Empire Strikes Back version next week on another edition of SMB, a South Park review. Do I need to do the another edition of SMV, a South Park review?
Hey, Matt.